welcome to the Diamond Sessions. Today we're thinking about what does it mean to have fearless faith. We're going to think about somebody called Mary Magdalene. She was one of Jesus' most close friends, and her example is extraordinary in terms of how her life was changed when she met Jesus and the life she lived as a result. Today we're going to be thinking about what her faith in Jesus looked like and what that means for us today. Mary was somebody, when Jesus met her, was in a real mess. Her life was so broken. People didn't want to go near her. People didn't want to be her friend. She was not popular. She was not the person that you wanted to hang out with. And why? The Bible tells us that she was possessed by 7 demons. That didn't just affect her mental health, but her physical health and how she was around other people. She was so messed up and her life was so messed up that nobody would ever want to hang out with her. I wonder what it would have been like to have been her. Imagine being her for 2 seconds. No one ever wants to hang out with you. No one wants to be your friend. People judge you and you can't do anything about it. She was trapped in a place where she couldn't do anything about her brokenness and she was desperate for healing. I imagine she probably had tried everything out there. She'd been to the doctor, she'd been for help, and no matter how hard she tried, things never got better. And she meets Jesus. And Jesus delivered her from those demons. He took her from that place of brokenness and set her free. Can you imagine what that would have been like? To have gone from being in this dark place where everything was so bad, where you just felt rubbish about yourself, where you did not value yourself, and where others around you were horrible to you. And you meet this person who comes and heals you. And you don't just physically feel better, but psychologically your mind feels better. You feel better in yourself, you feel better in terms of how you view yourself. And all of a sudden the people around you, they're like, there's something changed. Your life looks different. People want to be near you. People want to be around you. Her encounter with Jesus changed her forever. But what was really important was that Jesus didn't judge her on her brokenness. Other people around her didn't want to be her friend because of her brokenness. In our world, often brokenness is seen as a problem to be fixed. But see, when Jesus sees our brokenness, he doesn't see that. He sees the person behind that. And often it's our brokenness is the very place that God comes and moves in our life. It's the very place that God takes us from our prison and breaks us free. And Mary Magdalene is a perfect example of that. She was in the prison that these demons had kept her in, a prison that was stopping her from being the person God had called her to be. And she meets Jesus and her life is changed forever. Jesus was willing to meet Mary in her brokenness. In that place, he accepted her. And her brokenness no longer defined her, but he also called her. He healed her and then he called her out of that place into a new life following him. And the Bible is full of these examples of where he spent time with people like Mary. But she was the kind of person who remembered what her life before had been like, before she encountered Jesus, and she wanted something new. He offered her the plan and purpose that she thought was never possible. And he transformed her life as a result. She spends time with him and she learns from him. She learns what it means to follow God with her whole life. And then the worst thing happens. Jesus was nailed to a cross. And his friends deserted him. The people who'd walked closely with him, the people he had told this was going to happen and they didn't get it. Do you know who was at the foot of the cross when Jesus died? It wasn't his other friends, it was Mary. She's recorded sitting at the foot of the cross. Who was one of the first people to go to the tomb when Jesus had died, when everything seemed dark and terrible? It was Mary. She was there checking that everything was okay with his body. She was there to pay her respects. And she meets Jesus in the garden. And she is so upset she doesn't recognize that it's him. And he calls her by name, and in that place, she recognizes that her Lord has returned. And all of a sudden, all the things that he has said to her fall into place. And he sends her. He first of all healed her. He then calls her. And in this really crucial moment in history, he sends her. And how is he able to send her? Because she recognized who he was. And she trusted in him. She trusted that he was still her Lord, even when life was dark around her. So what does this mean for us today? I think it means 3 things. The first thing is, Jesus met Mary in her brokenness. But he loved her so much that he wasn't willing to leave her there. He called her out of that into a new life with purpose. And that life looked like being sent by Jesus. She was one of the first people to be sent by him. And as a result, we have the gospel today, we have the good news that we know, and we have the church. It was founded on people like Mary, people of faith. I want to be like Mary, not necessarily swayed by what other people had to say or think. Other people deserted Jesus, other people criticized him. She trusted him against all odds. That's the kind of faith I want, that no matter what my life looks like, even in the darkest time, I can cling to Jesus. So today, we want you to know that you can cling to Jesus. No matter how broken your life is, be willing to let him into that place. And in that healing, God calls you out of that. He calls you into a new life and a new identity, trusting in him. And sometimes we can get so worried about how that all looks, especially when life looks crazy like it does right now. God has got a good plan, and trusting him is the first step. We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. Please share, subscribe, and follow our Instagram page as well as this video, and we'll see you soon.